Folded in the Pages, Episode 6, Caroline Mockingbird. I give it all a place, and each place represents a face. Caroline in autumn, careless and courageous, carried away in the sound, somewhere deep down. Hear it on the radio, even in the static, but maybe it's only a Caroline Mockingbird. The lyrics to my song Caroline Mockingbird have a very clear call and response structure. The verses paint an unclear picture of a vague story, of an ephemeral and mysterious character, and the chorus questions whether the story is real or just a sorrowful poem delivered by a bird that is mimicking the past in song. The song is really abstract, offering no clear resolution.
Wow. Okay, well, that was a f***ing pain in the ass.
That's what I like about it. The lyrics and music to Caroline Mockingbird came very quickly and without much thought. It's one of those songs that just sort of appeared one day, as if from nowhere, and hung around long enough for me to take it seriously and record it. I remember the day I made the first demo of it. I was working long hours editing the lyrics and composing the melody. At the time, I was recording in an incredibly small apartment room facing an alleyway that amplified all the noises of the city. On this particular day, I was frustrated that it was raining so hard. The rain was intruding on the vocal and making it impossible to get a clean sound. How dare the rain do that? But, like all obstinate and stubborn young artists, I worked through it, completing my demo despite the bleeding rain. Of course, the rain stopped for good just as I finished tracking. I put my boots on and stepped outside for some fresh air, and was shocked to find the entire street was completely flooded. The four walls in which I was living the story of a man struggling to record a song had opened up into a world telling a larger story. With the song still in my mind, I couldn't help but think, man, these stories that are so important to me, that are so real to me, are nothing compared to what nature is doing at every moment. The words I write will never compare to the perfection of nature, that in total indifference could flood the world at any moment and wash away all record that I was ever even here. As I walked through the flooded streets, I asked myself, if nature is the perfect living embodiment of all beauty, terror, and wonder, why do we feel the need to make art at all? Isn't the world enough? Years later, I recorded the final version of Caroline Mockingbird. Once again, I was working long hours in my studio, punctuated by walks outside in the woods behind my home. Once again, nature demonstrated its perfection to me as I walked. Everything perfectly in place, moving perfectly in time with itself, seemingly perfectly indifferent to my artistic struggles. We are all living in a story in our minds. And it is only natural that in our aging, in the silent widening of our perspective, we would ask ourselves, what if this story that I'm telling myself isn't real? What if this feeling I want to express is unwarranted and stems from a voice that is really only the echo of a voice that comes from the mouth of a faulty narrator? What if the art I make is a vain and redundant attempt to represent what nature already perfectly is? What if the song I hear in my heart isn't the real thing? What if it's only the song of a mockingbird? The answer to these questions will destroy your self-illusions. Your story, your art, and the raw and towering nature of the feelings that underscore and fuel them are both real and unreal at the same time. In knowing this, you begin to align with nature's perfection in you. A perfection that expresses the truth of existence in the most ironic of places, in fiction. That is why we make art. That is why we tell stories. We are vibrating antennas that through self-awareness stand within and apart from nature's story. A story that is never told in words until a human mind and imagination interprets it. The songwriter interprets these stories in song, and the songs, the ones that are the most unfiltered and unafraid, the vulnerable musical treasures that pass through the mortal hardware of a precious human mind and into the collective consciousness. These songs are evidence of nature communicating through us to tell its story. These songs show us that it is a story that wants to be told. To understand this perspective is one thing. To know it well enough to act automatically from it and through it is another altogether. When we practice living from this perspective, we align with nature and develop instincts that guide us towards the songs that nature wants to sing through us. Even when we master these perspectives, we will still stumble and fall short sometimes.
Played a pretty shitty gig last night, huh? One of the worst we've ever played.
Because after all, we are not perfect. There is humility in knowing this, and all wisdom stems from humility. If you are so afraid to do anything imperfectly that you do nothing, nothing will happen. Nature is still trying to shine through you, whether you allow it to or not. Have the courage to try when you feel inspired, and have the humility to laugh at yourself when you fail.
And get a little zoom in on my face, and I'm gonna go.
And know that I'm right there with you, going through the same stuff. I have awoken in strange places without context, with only my mind and heart to wrangle sense back to myself. I have looked out across the landscape dotted with my messes and misses. I have collected them in a basket and walked across the slippery plains, saying, "Look here, I have structured the mystery, draped fine cloth over its confusing face, and declared it knowable and controllable." Again and again I have gazed at the wordless mouth of nature and been made smaller. And then, again and again, I have lost my feet and landed on my back. My messes and misses, my shame and angular edges, rain down on me in my stumbling humility. I cry and I laugh, and then I see above me the stars, each one made of me, and yet flickering in the distance farther from me than I can imagine. I am so moved by this impossible display of light that I stand up and begin to collect the pieces once again. And even though I know I will fall, I always do, I keep going, moving courageously across the unsteady ground to confront the mystery, to be dissolved completely by it, and in the silence of its wordless eye, tell the story. Tell the story, my creative friends. Tell the story.
But